Okay, I got a weird theory for you. You've probably heard a theory that's becoming more and more popular, and there's scientific data to back this up. Hallucinogenic drugs don't make us have a psychedelic experience. What they do is they turn off the parts of our brain that are preventing us from having a psychedelic experience. So, in other words, we would be having a trippy experience, seeing things and experiencing things in this totally different way if our brains weren't locking that down and making us only perceive this like narrow bandwidth of reality. So hallucinogenic drugs aren't making us see things that aren't there, this theory says. They're turning off the part of our brain that stops us from seeing what's there. So the thought occurred to me today, if hallucinogenic drugs do that to our perception of reality, what if euphoric drugs like opioids, which make people feel amazing, a flush of euphoria and happiness, and the pain all goes away in your body and everything's okay, or if the pain is still there, you're okay with it. Like when I was in the hospital with 2 shattered ankles, and they had to let the swelling go down for a week before they could do surgery on my ankles. I had a morphine drip going. I could still feel the pain. It felt like a truck tire had parked on my ankles, but somehow it didn't bother me very much. It just was like, yeah, this really hurts. It's all right. So what if, here's the crazy theory part, what if drugs like opioids that make people feel no pain and just feel happiness and euphoria, what if they're not making us feel happiness? What if they're just turning off the part of our brain that's stopping us from feeling happiness all the time? Right? So the reason I'm thinking along these lines is because in the Eastern mystical system of yoga, they say that reality is composed of 3 main elements: consciousness, existence or being, and the last one is bliss. Consciousness, existence, and bliss. So we all experience consciousness and we all experience existence, but where's the bliss, right? Where's the unending, uncaused bliss? The bliss that's just there no matter what. I've experienced this during spiritual episodes, huge openings. Some of my biggest openings came with this just overwhelming bliss that wasn't coming from anywhere except myself. It was just what I was, what I am. It was also, I could see what everyone else is. Everyone is nothing but bliss. We are made out of bliss, just like we're made out of love, just like we're made out of consciousness. These are all the same thing. They're just different names for the same reality. So where's the bliss, man? Why don't we all experience this unbroken bliss? What if the human body was just kind of a drug that our soul or our higher mind was taking? This is another way of thinking about the universe as a simulation. What if another aspect of our being, a higher self, a higher soul, whatever you want to call our transpersonal aspect, the part of us that is bigger, which I've experienced many times. I know it's real. I know it's there. I know we all have it. What if that part of us is in bliss all the time, but it wanted to have an experience of limitation? Why would it want to have a limitation? I don't know, man. Why does the son of a billionaire want to go get a summer job? He doesn't need a job, but he wants one. That's very common. Rich kids get summer jobs. Sometimes their parents make them because they want their kid to experience that kind of hardship in a way. They want them to get tested and know what it's like to have to sign in and work 8 hours. They don't need to do that, but they're going to grow from it, right? So what if our higher self chose to incarnate into a physical body, which is basically a bag of chemicals? It's like a drug with legs and arms and eyes. What if our soul decided to take this drug called Homo sapiens so that it could experience a period of time where the bliss of our true nature, the bliss of reality, was curtailed somehow? But some of us, when we got in here and then we went through trauma, and we live in a society that's just basically kind of miserable. A lot of people are really miserable. We were like, you know what? This no bliss thing really sucks. I hate this. This sucks. I wish I hadn't come here and experienced what it's like to not know and feel the bliss of my true nature. So I'm gonna go get drunk because that gives me back some of the bliss that feels natural to me. Or I'm going to take drugs, I'm going to take meth or heroin or whatever, because that gives me back some of that bliss that I've lost touch with because my dumb brain is somehow turned it off. It's turned off the bliss switch. And these substances I can consume turn it back on. I don't know. It's just a weird theory, something to think about.